Howdy, folks. I'm stuffily stuffing stale starters into storage.
I'm Amber.
And here are more stale starters for us to stuff into storage because what better way to have Thanksgiving leftovers than to enjoy them 6 months from now? Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Helping My Boyfriend's Family with Home Improvement Tasks After He Voluntold Me? I'm a 25-year-old female and my boyfriend is a 26-year-old male, and he has a mother and 3 sisters. Their father died when they were all pretty young, and honestly, none of them have really learned how to be independent. My dad raised me to be pretty independent. He told me to never depend on a man, and I don't. My dad owned a construction company, and he was one of the most talented woodworkers that I've ever met. He taught me how to do a lot. I can work on cars within reason, cook, build furniture, lay tile, and do most home improvement type stuff. And honestly, if I don't know how to do something, I'm pretty good at YouTubing it and asking whoever I need for some pointers. My boyfriend and I live in a house that I solely own. I have made the house into what my boyfriend and I need. We are getting ready to get married and maybe adopt a few children. His sisters are all kind of helpless. I admittedly don't really like any of them. His oldest sister has been dating this slimy guy, and they have 4 kids together. He binge drinks a lot and doesn't really do anything. He gets a disability check from pretending to be schizophrenic. Their trailer is falling apart and their water isn't coming on. She cried to my boyfriend and asked him to get me to come over and get their water working again and fix some stuff. She said that she can't afford to pay anyone. He said sure and casually told me. I told him no, I definitely don't want to go and do that in my free time. He's upset because he doesn't want to go back on his word to his sister. I suggested that one of them can figure it out or he can pay someone to do it. We have separate finances. His other sister started redoing her kitchen last month. She thought that it would be easy. Halfway through getting everything, she realized that she was well and over her head. Her boyfriend also broke up with her, and she had no help. He was the one mainly directing things. She asked my boyfriend to ask me to come and help, and he told her that I would, and I said no. Same problem. We are having a fight now, and he thinks that I'm not a team player for his family. I told him that I don't ask his family for anything ever, and it's not my fault that they chose to put themselves in bad spots and expect to be bailed out. It would be reasonable if they were sick and I brought them a meal, or if we watched the kids while someone was in the hospital. You know, normal family stuff. But I don't think wanting me to go do real labor and spend my entire weekend on projects because of their mess ups is reasonable. At the end, I told him that if he isn't okay with this boundary that I'm setting, then we have no business getting married. And the ball was in his court. He had to apologize and let it go, but I can still tell that he's fuming. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
While I don't love OP's attitude in some of this, I don't think she's in the wrong for not wanting to do this and not wanting to be voluntold.
Yeah.
Like, this is her time and labor that she's being expected to hand over for free.
Yeah.
Time is precious and energy is precious. And to be like, oh, well, we can't afford to pay you, just do it. Like, you can't go to a contractor and be like, oh, well, can you fix my kitchen? I can't afford to pay you. And like I know sometimes families they have arrangements where, person A does this and person B does this and they'll kind of swap off, but it doesn't sound like his sisters have any way of contributing meaningfully and just want to benefit from OP's labor. But moreover, it's a boyfriend problem because he should have immediately either I need to talk to OP, I can't just volunteer her for you.
Yeah, I mean, I think despite some of what OP has said in here that I kind of draw a little bit of contention to, I think that her boyfriend is completely in the wrong and should have consulted her well before asking favors from her. I understand that they are in rough places, but again, like this is a lot of work and it isn't really incumbent upon OP to go into their house and try to fix these problems, right? And I mean, certainly I understand why they would want someone to come and help them, but there's a lot of great resources online. There's YouTube, there's other tools out there, and maybe even they could ask OP if they would be willing to teach them, right? Another alternative is if OP's boyfriend is so intent upon this, then maybe he can go over and try to fix these things as well.
That was what I was going to suggest is that the boyfriend, if it's important to him, he take it upon himself to figure out how to do this and help them.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And LL2JZ says, he's only apologizing to you because you're his meal ticket. You're a paycheck and a place to live. Open your eyes, he's using you. And OP replies, he makes good money and can afford to buy his own house. He absolutely does not need me or my money. We're together because we want to be, not because we need to be. I mean, if they're this well off, then there's no reason that OP's boyfriend, wow, where did that come from? Couldn't go and pay for a plumber or pay for them to get some help. And Mermaid 2 says, I have relatives who are considerably more handy than me. I don't ask them to work on my home, but for advice. Is this something that I can do, or should I hire someone? What's the best way to handle this? Is a quote that I've received reasonable? That's what your boyfriend family should be doing. You are absolutely right to set boundaries. Now they're asking you for your help to fix things. If you do, they will assume that you will always be willing to help, even will plan home renovations around your involvement. 5 minutes of advice is reasonable, 5 hours of work is not the jerk. And OP replies, what's funny is when people just come to ask me for advice, I'm way more inclined to offer them help physically than if they just expect me to do the work. You're the jerk. Read your first 2 paragraphs. Your dad raised you to be independent. Their dad died. They had no one to teach them those things. Wonder what you would have done if your construction-owning daddy had died. And OP replies, based on my personality, I think I would probably just do my best to figure stuff out. I don't expect anyone to do much of anything for me. All right, what do you think of that comment?
I mean, everyone has different life circumstances and different things, tools they are given and aren't given. And like, it's not, like, I understand that the sisters are in a bad spot and they want help, but that doesn't mean they are entitled to someone else's labor.
Exactly.
It's one thing to ask, it's another thing to demand.
All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, I'm a 29-year-old female and my husband is a 27-year-old male, and he is so responsible that I'm scared to have kids with him. How do I help him understand how serious this is? My husband, a 27-year-old male of 3 years, together for 8, is so irresponsible that I have a genuine fear of him burning down our house, letting our cats out, and leaving our house open for strangers to walk in. It has gotten to the point that we are starting to want children, and I'm becoming terrified of having children with him for the simple fact that he is negligently irresponsible. Here are just a few examples how he has shown me he's irresponsible. Once I had to leave work in the early hours and drive 30 minutes home because he left not 1, not 2, but 4 candles burning in our house with 3 cats running around. He couldn't leave work to check and just wanted the house to smell good when he came home. Just last week, when I woke up for work around 6 a.m., our front door was wide open and unlocked. There is a glass door which was closed so the cats were okay, but that door was also not locked. He said it wasn't a big deal. To me, as someone who has nightmares about people breaking in, and he knows it, it was a big deal. He cleaned our basement by taking all of the cardboard boxes, just moved in a couple of months ago, and surrounded our 50-year-old electric heater, and then argued with me why I didn't tell him to move them elsewhere sooner. That's in the back room, and I figured he recycled the boxes. That is in the back room, and I figured that he had recycled the boxes. He also will do minor things like leave windows open when he leaves. Our cats have ripped through the windows and escaped at our old home. Leave water running in our sink for hours on end for the cats. Plug power strips into power strips. Leave all the lights on for hours on end while he isn't home. Leave food out for the cats that they could choke on or be poisoned from. He forgets to turn on the oven lock after using it, and our cats have turned on the oven multiple times from this, and multiple other minor things. I understand that he is forgetful, but some of this stuff is a really big deal to me and the safety of us in our home. Not to mention running up the utility bills to an unreasonable amount. When I talk to him about these things, he gets defensive or brushes them off as no big deal. He doesn't think that the bills are too high, he doesn't have a job, and he lost it for literally being irresponsible. He doesn't think that anyone will break into our home. We live in a big city and only have lived here for a few months. He doesn't believe the cats will escape since they like our new house. They have escaped this exact way before. Since we have been talking about having children lately, I have brought all of these examples up as reasons why I'm nervous to do so. He wants kids badly and blows up on me about how none of these things are the reason why we shouldn't have kids. He says that having children brings out a greater sense of responsibility, and that by having a child, he will inherently become more responsible, like an automated response. I'm sure that's true in a small sense, but with all the irresponsible things that he does on a daily basis, my gut feeling is that he will not become more irresponsible automatically. I don't think that he actually cares enough or thinks about it. I don't know how to go further in this conversation and help him understand why all of this stuff is the main reason why I don't want to have kids right now. He views me as always nagging him or overreacting about these situations. I'm not sure which route to go to get through to his head that while I love him, I can't morally feel comfortable bringing a child into our home at this time. I just don't trust him to be responsible for a child's safety at this time. How can I help cement this fact and bring him to the understanding that his actions do have an impact on my trust of him and trusting him to be a safe figure around our child? Edit, some people are mentioning ADHD, and I thought that I would clear that up. He does in fact have ADHD, as do I. He doesn't take medication because he has bad PTSD from issues that it caused when he was a child when he first started taking medication. To add, I also think that he has some kind of CTE from years of playing sports. I have tried to get him to go into therapy or counseling, but he doesn't believe in it, nor do we have the money for therapy. He isn't stupid, but he isn't the smartest person that I know. He's very intelligent in some respects, but as noted above, very incompetent in others. As for his job, he just lost it 2 weeks ago. It's not like he's been jobless forever. The job that he had been working at for 4 years before he was let go was a high-paying managerial position, and he was good at it. It was a one-time mistake that was against company policy that resulted in him losing his job. I think that a lot of his interpersonal issues are a result of him losing his job that he enjoyed and was good at. People at his workplace were very upset he was fired, and he even reached out to me because of that. For those asking why I married him and how I hadn't seen these things in the past, these instances have only really started showing in the last couple of years since we moved in together 3 years ago. Contrary to what people say in the comments, he does do a lot of cleaning in the house and cooks every meal. His job was a normal 9 to 5, and mine was usually 10 to 6 or 10 to 7, so I usually would come home to a clean house and dinner. It's only occasionally that these negligent issues have come up, but it's enough to make me nervous. As for I love him and have stayed with him, he is great in a lot of things. He is loved by many people and is a stable figure of growth and positivity in many people's lives. He is a good leader and a good partner aside from the things that I've mentioned in this post. This post only contains his worst qualities and doesn't touch any of his good ones. I just think that he really needs help, and I don't know how to provide him that help. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, this one is a complicated situation. I mean, certainly Hold Farm do not have kids with him. He is not responsible enough to be in a house with other people. Like, honestly, I'm a little worried for Opie and the cat's safety because of all the stuff he's doing. He could have burned down the house so many times over. And if he's not listening. He's not being a good partner. It doesn't matter if these don't seem like big deals to him. He should be able to take it on board and understand that these are a big deal to you. Although leaving open flame is such a no-no. Like, it's PSAs everywhere about that. You're not supposed to do that. So yeah, I don't know if I have good advice other than maybe it's time to, are there any people he actually listens to? Does he have a parent or a friend he listens to who could talk to him about these issues? But at the same time, I'm like, if it's at this point and he's not listening to OP, is this even a relationship worth preserving?
So my view here is that overall, he seems like a pretty good individual, right? And I mean, it seems like these happen infrequently, but they're still concerning. I think that it would be a good idea for OP and their partner to go into couples counseling and sit down and talk about these kinds of things and talk about what they can do to help him to acquire skills in order to ensure that he doesn't actually put their lives at risk. Now, I think that this is going to be a challenging situation. I mean, he has ADHD. He seems like he's a person who is able to adapt and be productive in society. It doesn't seem like it's holding him back, but it does seem like he has some blind spots that he needs to work on in order to become a more responsible partner. And as for his whole, oh, I just need to become a parent and then I'll become more responsible, that's not the magic wand that
No.
he thinks it is. I think that sometimes people can become more responsible when they have children, but there's no guarantee that they will, and it certainly is requires someone to have a shift in their mental state for them to be a more responsible person. So I would be concerned about that as well. I just don't know that I can trust from Opie's description here that he will just miraculously become a responsible person.
No, I don't. And I also am wondering if there's some sort of like, not malice, but like, if he's able to not do these things at work, like if there's no, I know he got fired from a job, but he had it for 4 years, and it doesn't sound like it was the first violating company policy, not for almost setting the building on fire. If he can,
Well, I mean, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if he can go into other spaces and respect their rules, but he's not able to listen to his partner when she has a concern, that concerns me.
Well, some of the things here that they listed, I just don't see happening at work, right? At work, there's generally not going to be an oven for you to burn down that, workplace at. You're not going to have, he's a manager, so he's not going to be tearing apart cardboard boxes to throw them in front of space heaters. I mean, there's just things here, like, I am sure that people, like, when you're a good employee and you're effective and able to get a lot of things done, I think that you're going to get a lot of leeway with maybe minor grievances, right? So maybe he did do some irresponsible things, but he was able to, his overall attitude and everything was able to make up for the, instances of like forgetfulness or irresponsibility. So I don't know that that necessarily would doom him to be fired, but it seems like it eventually caught up with him.
Yeah, I don't know. I just get the vibe that he doesn't really take OP seriously and isn't concerned. And like, this is not someone you want to be having children with, certainly. But also, do you really want to be in a house with someone? Like you always have to make sure the candles are out before you go to bed and check the space heater to make sure he's not piled boxes around them.
Yeah.
And then the way he blamed OP for not letting him know he's not supposed to pile boxes around the space heater.
Yeah, I mean, the blame game here isn't good. I mean, it certainly isn't good on him. Like, he should be taking responsibility for his own actions and not blaming other people when he does things that are, irresponsible or negligent.
So I'm not saying he's a fundamentally bad person. I do think he's a bad partner. Everything in this has led me to believe that he is not treating his partner with due respect and consideration.
Well, and that's why I suggested, therapy. I think that therapy would be a good place for him to start. If he refuses, then maybe that's the beginning of the end.
Right, which
right?
Opie says that he doesn't believe in therapy.
Well, maybe a group therapy he would be more inclined to do, right? So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you're incorrect, but I'm, also saying that maybe there's, still hope for this relationship, and maybe they can work on things and hopefully come to a better understanding. Because maybe a group therapy would be enough for him to realize that maybe there are other things that he can work on and become a better person for.
Potentially. But it also might be nice to like work on it in separate locations until he gets to a point where he's not going to burn the house down or the cats down.
Well, and I mean, I don't really have any kind of judgment in that respect. I think that it's a challenging situation. It sounds like OP loves him a lot, and it sounds like that they work very well for the most part. And every relationship is going to have its hiccups and whatnot. So I don't know. I think at the end of the day, it's up to OP whether they want to stay in this relationship, and maybe they can encourage therapy and working through some of these issues. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And American Desert Witch says he needs to see a doctor and soon. I'm not saying it's anything dangerous, but there may be a medical reason for his behavior, one that could perhaps put him on disability. Or a different take, by chance is he a big guy, as in physically imposing. My husband did some of these things when we were first married. I'd leave for work in the morning and the front door would be left unlocked all night. I think men, especially big men, don't experience fear the way that most of us do because they're at the top of the food chain physically. I had to yell at mine more than once that they'll just kill you, but they'll do terrible things to me and then kill me, before he finally understood. but once in a great while, I will still find the door unlocked. And OP replies, I think that a large portion of these issues come from things that he needs to see a doctor about. These were never a consistent issue, but over the last 2 to 3 years have gotten more frequent. And yes, he is a physically imposing guy. He's 6'5", and would probably knock the lights out of anyone that I know with a single punch. Some of his problems brushing off the door and locks is because he never did that before he lived with me, and he isn't very scared of people or anything for that matter. Alright folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
Knock knock.
Who's there?
Cargo.
Cargo who?
Cargo beep beep.
The car goes beep beep indeed, and also goes vroom vroom. And I have the special guest tea, some matcha. Alright folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Spectacular Saturday, folks. I hope your Saturday is off to a spectacular start. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please, have it on being responsible in relationships.
Being responsible in a relationship involves communicating effectively with your partner.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.